Raylos, no Adam Driver fans. We don't do ugly people. Solo fans, no High Republic fans, nobody, right? Real Star Wars, no prequel haters, no Obi-Wan haters. I'm even done with the Boba Fett haters now. You can't have an intellectual discussion about the show and all you want to do is rant. There are plenty of channels that are bigger than mine to go and do that. So, Bounding into Comics put this out. I want to read it to you guys because, well, it's me. Now, I'm going to warn you. The thing that they're talking about happened in October of 2020. This thing is almost 2 years old. So this is old news. Okay. But I want to here's the deal. A YouTuber, the Phantom Menace's Pablo Hidalgo, was the one quoted in this, and I'm going to dispute his take because, again, we're not talking about the sharpest knives in the drawer here. And I have no tolerance for people who speak before they think. I am one of those people, but that's why I don't have any tolerance for others like that. So I'll read this. All right, it's a relatively recent interview with George Lucas has revealed an interesting detail about the most recent and fairly divisive Star Wars trilogy produced by Disney. Fairly divisive. Yeah, yeah. Not that is understating the issue here. In October 2020, this is old. Lucas, alongside his wife and the chairwoman of Starbucks, Melody Hobson, appeared as part of a ritual speaker series for the East Harlem School at Exodus House. During the interview, a seventh grader, Jeremiah, asks Lucas around the 42-minute 50 mark, "The world has changed so much since the first Star Wars movie. How do you think the changes in the fight for racial justice will impact the Star Wars universe going forward?" I'm sure George was like, "Oh fuck, you're teaching your kids to be woke." George says, "I don't know. I mean, I kind of lost control of Star Wars, so it's going off in a different path than what I would have intended." Okay. Then he added, "But the first 6 Star Wars films are very, very much mine and my philosophy. I think that philosophy sort of goes beyond any particular time because it's based on history, it's based on philosophy, it's based on a lot of things," he continued. He went on to say, "The first 3 basically tell you how democracy turns into a dictatorship, and you end up with a tyrant, the emperor. It's very important now, where we are now in our political history." Oh, yes, but it's the Democrats that are the tyrants, not the rest of us. The Star Wars creator also explains all the various colors and shapes of the aliens and everything that live in that world. It's a normal situation. There's no real discrimination. The only discrimination is against robots, and we haven't really reached that period yet. And I'm sure the robots will be able to overcome it because they don't have the same feelings. But it really shows you, in terms of the way the politics are and the way things are and how to fight those ideas, and a lot of it really has to do with overcoming fear. Okay, so here's what I think. He was talking to a kid, a 7th grader, a kid about what, 11, 12 years old. The kid is obviously being raised and educated in Wokistan. Okay. And racial justice has already been achieved. It really has. We all know that. And that kid will someday understand. Racial justice doesn't mean putting anybody else, doesn't mean putting white people down. Okay. Jeremiah obviously is probably a black kid. Okay. What George is basically saying is that what Kennedy did and what Iger, even more so, did by allowing woke assholes like J.J. Abrams, I mean, my dog's poops are stronger than he is. Ryan Johnson, by allowing this woke shit, missed the mark. Okay. And I think this is an old interview, so let's go back and look at the history. October 2020. We hadn't seen Luke show up. In fact, Mandalorian, I believe, was Mandalorian season 2 was just going on. I mean, it was literally like in its second episode. And we also know that George had gone on the set of Mandalorian season 1 and was going over the scripts with John and Dave. Okay. George is basically saying here that the sequel trilogy went off the rails. And the thing about the droids, is he making a cutting comment about L337? I don't know. The fact of the matter is that that character had no reason to be in it at all, beyond John Kasdan's I can't even. No. Okay, no. There's some strange thought process going in that guy's head. I'm just going to leave it at that. Anyway, what we have here then is not much of a story when you think about it. I mean, George saying, yeah, he sold the company. I lost control. He sold it to Disney, and Bob Iger had no intention of keeping his end of the deal. Bob goes on in his autobiography and, tries to smooth ruffled feathers, but does it work? No, it doesn't. Look, Iger made these movies for his political career. He allowed this shit to happen. Okay. Kennedy, for all we've heard, she is a politically motivated activist who is resentful of the fact that she actually got to sit in and listen to Spielberg, Lucas, etc. talk about what they were going to do with a storyline, and nothing that she thought was good would get in there, interrupting them with, what if he just got the dog? Shit like that. So she's, at the time, 2020, I believe that Dave Filoni was already creative director. I believe all that shit had already been happening. I believe a lot of stuff had been transitioning, and a lot of it was. And the fact that she was kept so far out of the loop by Skywalker showing up. And of course, then we had the continuous drama with Gina Carano. Insert eye roll, okay? I just saw her in a picture with the YouTuber in this interview, and it's like, she's not a movie star. She's a working actress, if that, okay? Her new movie, Terror on the Plains, is out, I guess. Nick Searcy, my friend, is in it. He plays the bad guy. Am I going to see it? Yeah, probably for Nick. Do I look at Miss Carano to put out an Academy Award-winning Meryl Streep-like performance? No. All right? I think the time for a big deal about her is over. And the fact that, again, she made mistakes befriending YouTubers, not leaving Twitter alone, just staying out of it. She wasn't fired. They just basically publicly said they weren't going to have her back. And I'm going to say this. The way she was behaving up to that now tells me she knew for a long time. All right. Now seems to me that she knew she wasn't coming back. And the fact that Favreau and Filoni really wanted her back and she wouldn't stop it says a lot about where her loyalty was. Okay? And that to me is more heavy duty about her than anything. Okay? She was going to have her own Star Wars TV streaming series. That's money, that's cachet. You get to sign autographs for what, $100 a pop at conventions. You're going to be part of a bigger legacy. Probably do more things than just that. And you let it all go. Fine. Fine. But don't blow sunshine up my ass. I think she knew. And I think the whole thing where they were going to bully her in a Zoom call, I believe it. The 70 people that walked out for like 10 minutes at Lucasfilm in Burbank, they were probably the ones that were part of that cabal. I do find it funny. Pablo Hidalgo didn't walk out because he wasn't there. He wasn't literally there. Okay. Says a lot. All right. Did the Twitter warrior thing, and that's about it. All right. Ooh. But this interview again was before all that shit happened. And we had seen pictures of George on the set. He had gone through the scripts. I know Kennedy, apparently when she found out, lost her shit and said this nonsense will end and it will end right now or something like that. The thing about it is when I look at this, I don't really think there's a story there. He's talking to a 7-year-old. And if you're October 2020, it's going to be 2 years ago this October. So this is but where are we now? All right. We are in a place where it looks like to me that Kennedy's leaving. She was pretty much acting like she was out the door at Star Wars Celebration. We've seen her lose a vanity project with Children of Blood and Bone to Paramount. Her project, her big one, Indy 5, has been pushed back from its release date. Why? I assume that they're going to look through the whole thing and do reshoots. And maybe cut back Phoebe Waller-Bridge's role. Okay. Acolyte, Harvey Weinstein's former personal assistant, keeps going along, la, 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 keeps doing it and adding stuff to their IMDb page, and they talked to her, Vanity Fair, and then a couple of shill pages, but they didn't say a word at Star Wars Celebration. She was not there. There was no sign of this dumpster fire anywhere. All right. So she's just spending money at this point. And Hadland has got Russian Doll at Netflix. Maybe she should just keep doing shit like that. No one wants a ninja martial arts Star Wars story. Doesn't that sound stupid? Woke, feminazi, martial arts Star Wars streaming show. I don't. You don't. There we go. I don't think so. I don't know anything about, was it Simon Emanuel, who's the guy on the ground? Frank Marshall is a good producer. And I do, and honestly, Mike, I think Harrison Ford probably is producing it without getting a recognition for it. Just a gut feeling. When all this shit went down in October, I thought, he slow rolled his injury. He made it so they would have to address the problems. And look, I'm going to tell you something. Kennedy and her followers like to brag about how powerful she is. But real power, and this is from The Offer and The Godfather, is never talked about. People with real power never say anything. They don't have to. Harrison Ford has never said a word. Steven Spielberg has never said a word. All right. But if anybody could take Kennedy out, it's Harrison Ford. If anybody could put her off to the side with duct tape over her mouth, it's him. Okay? Indy 5 doesn't go, I mean, she even said it in the Vanity Fair. The only person who can play Han Solo is Harrison Ford. The only person who can play Indiana Jones is Harrison Ford. Okay? That's it. Now, I normally don't believe in the indispensable man. But in this day and age, I don't see anybody able to replace him. I don't. Because, I mean, we grow men like Ezra Miller now. Where the hell is he, by the way? Be nice to know. Shows up at my house with that little girl. I'm putting him down, face down on the ground, and waiting for the cops to come. All right? That's what's going to happen. I think anybody would be smart enough to do that, too. It is very interesting to see, in retrospect, how far we've gone. Now, I'm going to say this. The YouTuber isn't looking at the big picture. Again, he's a YouTuber that doesn't know how to. The big picture right now is Disney itself. Again, I mean, I can't reiterate this more. When Peter Rice was fired, he had a brand new contract signed last year. So you imagine the payout. Also, he gets to sign an NDA. And if he breaks the NDA, he has to pay all that money back, plus the taxes. All right, now, why wouldn't you do the same thing with Kennedy? It isn't her that would say anything. It's the media. Okay, now, Matt Bellany's been whining and crying and twisting his, minuscule dick apart over this. And, they're like, this. It's like, it's over. Wokistan is over. Okay? I don't give a shit what you do in your bedroom. But if you put it in a movie, Phil, just slow your roll, okay? Let's be adults here, okay? We don't, okay? It's very interesting. They're not making as big a deal as they would if it was Kennedy. All right? It's not her. It's the media. Okay? It's the media. The delusion that the woman is this powerful being, it's bullshit. Okay? It's absolute bullshit. I know it's not true. You guys know it's not true. God on his throne in heaven knows it's not true. Okay? It's not true anymore. She's been put to the side. She can't touch Star Wars. They're trying to get out of the morass that they're in. Um, and really, I don't even think she's allowed to touch Indiana Jones 5 anymore. She'll get her day. She'll get her pat on the fanny and her back slapped, but it's meaningless, and she knows it. Kevin Feige, he's one that should be afraid. They can march him right in there and fire his ass. They could. All right. Could still with Kennedy, too, and that's the thing. This firing was meant to scare the shit out of the executives there. All right. The guy that runs Pixar, whose name I can't remember, he's scared too now. All right. This internally for now, morale is down. No, I don't care. Morale is down for the woke folk. Good. I don't really give a fuck. Okay? I really don't care. It's time for those people to remember they're there to entertain people, not be activists. Okay? And that's the truth. And if they don't like it, I mean, they can, go work somewhere else. And a lot of those jobs that they have are going to Florida. All right. And every day Florida gets more and more and more hard to the right. All right. Ron DeSantis is pretty much behaving like he's got a political mandate to do whatever the fuck he wants right now. And that scares the shit out of them. Okay? They don't want to be in a place where they feel like they've got to hide. And it's like, look, I have gay friends that live in Key West. They're not hiding. They also hate your guts. Why? Because you're creating an environment that is going to turn very ugly against all of you people. Okay? And to be honest, one of the best things to happen to for the rest of us is to see the LGB start fighting the T and the Q. Well, yeah, and you're right. I mean, when you've got inflation going through the roof and gas prices going through the roof, and China threatening us, I would tell, this had been my reply. Okay, you want to play that way? You make a move against Taiwan, and you're going to be able to see Beijing on fire from the space station. Okay? That's what I would have said. Yeah, I saw that. So Saudi Arabia, Malaysia, and Indonesia, all conservative Muslim countries. Don't expect Lightyear to play in China. Not that that really matters. But the fact of the matter is, they're leaving money on the table over this shit. And I think right now Bob Chapek is making these people take medicine that tastes like shit. But they're gonna have to in order to fix the problem. All right? Sometimes you gotta do that. And I think Chapek, he's on a rampage right now. God knows what's happening this week. Could wake up on Thursday morning and go, oh my God, Feige's been fired, or oh my God, the head of Pixar's been fired. Now, what could be cut from Lightyear to make it passable for people? Because Chris Evans, it's just for the toxic masculinity. Horrible. 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 I want more. I'm addicted to it. Give me more. No, you get rid of that fucking kiss, and that's it. I mean, then people will probably be more apt to see it, even though I'm really disgusted that this little wimpy shithead, Chris Evans, he needs to be dragged over Blue Rock for about a half mile. All right? Because he's a pussy. And he's a shitty actor. You know? I don't like the fact that Tim Allen didn't get to do the voice. That's his role, it's not. You know? And the only reason why he didn't get to do the voice, Tim Allen supported Trump. This is bullshit. This is the kind of shit that leads people like Elon Musk to buy Twitter. Okay? I absolutely agree with you, Don. I mean, look, I got into an argument with this trans idiot who's going on and on about Enfy's Nest. I got, this is back in 2018, and I got that Twitter account banned. All right? Because what I said was exactly what you said, Don. Why don't you fucking make your own space opera about trannies and leave the rest of us alone? Okay? There's nothing wrong with me saying I don't want to see that shit. I don't want my nephews to see that shit. I don't want my nieces to see that shit. I don't want their kids to see this shit. I don't want anybody's kids to see this shit. Hey, Ghostwriter, okay? I don't. There's nothing wrong with putting that out there. They act like the way they live is something, I mean, basically Chris Evans said, I just can't wait till it's like normal. It's not normal. It will never be normal. Even the people that are into that shit know it's not normal, which is why they are bugging the rest of us right now. Okay? It is not normal. All right? It is not normal. None of it is. All right? None of it. None of it. Okay? And the idea that if they want to have their own movies and stuff, they should just do their own thing. Okay? You want to know why they're embedded like wood ticks at Disney? Because they want to fuck with the culture in general. Okay? When you go after them, they talk about being hidden and belonging and all the rest of this shit. And it's like, oh, fuck. Really? Really? You sit there and say shit like that, but when you see a white, straight man, you make him feel like the outcast. Fuck you. And a black, straight man, you make him feel like, an Uncle Tom. Fuck that shit. They're not struggling. They're not hurting. Okay? Look. Why? It's narcissism. It's narcissism. Is what it is. All right? When I had this woke, awful bitching at me about black girls need to be seen, it's like they are seen. Have you seen Ghostbusters Afterlife? And that girl did not do a good job. She didn't. Zendaya should not have been in Dune. There's no reason for her to be in Dune. All right? Sean Young's version of that character actually looked the fucking part. Okay? When these people realize the only reason why they're getting these roles is because they fit into a quota box, they'll be pissed. All right? That's not right. You want to be known for how good of an actor or an actress you are, like Denzel Washington, all right? Or how funny you are, like Dave LaChapelle, okay? Or what a great singer you are, like Nat King Cole, or his daughter, Natalie Cole. Why are we here right now? Why? That little boy talking about racial justice when it's already been a fucking thing since Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. Both murdered, by the way. And one was murdered by his own people. All right? It is time for these woke people to just find their own little niche and live in it. Okay? They're never, look, they're never going to be part of main society, so they try to drag us down to their level, which is exactly what's going on here. Okay? It's exactly what that kid, without saying it, said. Okay? And you got Lucas saying, Lucas basically putting wokedom down to him. Star Wars, never needed all this because it already had it. Okay? All right? It already had it. He was right. I guarantee you, Pablo Hidalgo reads that and gets all pissed off. Mr. Trans rights. And he's virtue signaling. Look, you got a straight male talking about this shit. He doesn't think that. He's never going to tell you what he really thinks. What is that great line? There were two lines about politeness. And you could fit it for political correctness. Polite is bullshit. This is from The Offer. It's, it's a waste of time. Okay? And Robert Evans says to Al Ruddy, polite is bullshit. It's what people say when they don't want you to know what they really think. Virtue signaling is bullshit. It's what they say when they don't want you to know what they really think. Mark Hamill, Chris Evans, Pedro Pascal. Okay? All right. I don't think that. You couldn't look at yourself in the mirror every day and believe anything and believe that shit without having a mental breakdown. What George really thinks? George probably thinks it's bullshit. I think Marsha Lucas actually said what he thought when she went off on what they did to Han. Yeah, and it's if they, fine, all right, you don't fit into no, I'm not going to start an OnlyFans. I don't know who you are. And just Mike and Jay, if this person comes back and says anything disgusting, ban them, okay? Or I will, all right? This is a serious discussion, okay, dipshit? All right? It's very interesting to me. Thanks, Mike. It's very interesting to me watching all this and just watch what you say. Can't we all get along? Watching all this happen right now. The world is in a state of flux. We've got inflation going crazy right now. Well, look, let's talk about that. This is virtue signaling at its finest. Mark. But I don't necessarily blame him as much as I blame his wife. She's had his balls in her purse since they were married. Look at what he did to his own granddaughter. right? Nathan gets involved with a stripper in San Diego. Yes, they are Douglas, and it's very obvious. And I'm not talking about that right now. He gets involved with a stripper in San Diego. She gets pregnant, and Mary Lou Hamill starts sending her emails about getting an abortion. The girl almost did it too, decided to keep the baby. This little girl, her grandparents have never met her. They've never acknowledged the kid. They don't have any grandchildren. All right, let's kind of do this. Harrison Ford. You know, paparazzi pictures of him riding one of his grandchildren, sons on his shoulders. You know, loves his family, takes care of them, wants to be around them. That's what's important. Then you got Mark Hamill. His wife is a feminazi bitch, and she's fucked him up. I blame her. I blame him for not being able to stand on his own 2 feet. Why did he let Luke? All this shit happen to Luke because he couldn't stand on his own 2 feet and say, I am not happy with this. I am gonna hide. I'm gonna go in my trailer until you fucking fix this. Okay? Now, contrast that, TLJ if Harrison Ford had been in it. Mark would have been hiding behind him while Harry dismantled Rian Johnson and ripped up the script in front of him. That's exactly what would have happened. I am not going to do this movie unless the script is changed. This is trash, and it's disrespectful of everything George ever made. Okay? And Harrison Ford, when TFA was wrapping, was sad that he wasn't going to be part of it anymore. True story. True story. Okay? That, you know, any one of those guys, Sylvester Stallone, when he makes a Rocky movie or a Rambo movie, he has control over everything. Okay? So they can't fuck with him. Right? They can't fuck with Clint Eastwood either. I mean, he would flatten them like pancakes, even at the age of 92. All right? That old man, you know, but Mark can't do it. All right? Mark doesn't have the cachet. He's not a movie star. He isn't. Okay, let's be honest. He is not a movie star. He has a star on the Walk of Fame. Not a movie star. All right. All right. That he is not. When I think movie star, I think Harrison Ford. I think Meryl Streep. I think Clint Eastwood, Steve McQueen, John Wayne, William Holden, Humphrey Bogart, Jack Nicholson, even though I despise him. You know what I'm saying? Mark Hamill, you know, even William Shatner's a bigger deal. Okay? You know, and I gotta tell you, when he gets upset about something, Hamill comes off like a bitter little bitch. Men aren't bitter. Men don't act that way. Oh yeah, Michael Biehn was always in movies with guys like Kurt Russell. You know, he was always in movies with people like that. And he never quite got lucky enough to be in anything like that, to be a star. Well, you know, I always tell people like that, if you're that sad, you need Jesus, you know, or whatever. But go to priest, your pastor, your rabbi, your imam, your, whatever they call your witch counselor, whatever the hell that is, and fix it. Okay, but don't share it with me. I don't want to hear about it. What's the rule of stuff? I only want to hear about your problem once. And then I don't want to hear about it again. I want to only hear that you solved it. Okay? I don't have time for that. All right? That's an Elon Musk thing, but I've been like that my whole life. All right? I get really tired of people and their bullshit. And Mark has got a lot of bullshit going on, people. He really does. Anyway, it's just interesting, though, looking at where everything is right now and where it was when that here, well, the title of the video from that YouTuber is George Lucas Destroys Disney Star Wars or something. It's like 2 fucking years ago. 2 fucking years ago. And the only reason why I'm talking about this I thought De Niro was divorced. And the only reason why I'm talking about this is because the person who made that video, here it is. The person who made that wouldn't notice any of this. Wouldn't notice. Wouldn't acknowledge the Peter Rice thing and how big it is. Okay? Wouldn't notice that tremendous no, it's not Robot's Head. It's not Robot's Head's video. This YouTuber posted a picture of himself at a benefit or a party with Gina Carano. He's a simp. The Pablo Hidalgo of the Phantom Menace. This guy wouldn't notice any of this. All right, they don't. I mean, and when they do acknowledge it, they don't see it for what it is. All right. First off, they need. Yeah, he did. In fact, he liked their fan reaction video that Echo Base made. Echo Base Network made, and that was pretty cool. He acknowledged that. But I'm, but I'm gonna tell you something. This channel is the only place you'll hear anybody talk about this stuff and what it is, unless you go to Cameron Pasha's Patreon. And it is a big goddamn deal. Peter Rice's firing is a big goddamn deal. That's why this 2-year-old interview is old news. But when you look at it from October 2020 to June 14th, 2022, think of how much time and history has gone on. All right. Luke shows up in episode 16. Gina's mouth gets her told she's not welcome back at Lucasfilm. She was not fired. It's easy to say that, but she wasn't. She didn't have a contract. Immediately, Kennedy starts getting her ass kicked all over the rags. And slowly but surely, you see Bob Chapek taking control. All right. We get to last summer this time, we find out that Dave Filoni is number 3 at Lucasfilm. You got it. Then we go on further and further, and we're where we are now. Kennedy loses the Children of Blood and Bone. her big movie, Indiana Jones 5, is its release date is pushed back a year. Acolyte, they can talk about it till they're blue in the face, and add all the artsy fartsy people to it. It's still in limbo. All right. She's got nothing. She's a figurehead. She's a figurehead. All right. And these people you're talking about don't understand what that means. And this is what, if I was Bob Iger or Bob Chapek, I would go into Susan Arnold's office with a bottle of 50-year-old scotch, put it down on the desk and say, we need to talk about Kennedy. I want the fans to quit obsessing with her. Arnold says she should have, we shouldn't have let her do Star Wars Celebration. We did it for her own ego, not because it was good for either Star Wars or Indiana Jones. All right. Harrison did not talk to her, did not acknowledge her. And we all know that, right? I would say I think it's time for her to announce her retirement and give the fans a hard date and make it public. Okay? We need to take the narrative away from the channels you guys have been talking about. And I would be very upfront. I'd say if Gina wants to come back, she's very welcome to come back. Okay? We're not really allowing any of our employees and our contracted employees, Pedro, to represent us if they're going to talk about any politics at all. Go and watch the video I uploaded. Robert Evans walks in to the board meeting where Gulf and Western, Charlie Bluhdorn, and Barry Lepidus are getting the board to vote on whether they should sell Paramount to a consortium of Texas oil people. And Evans walks in and he explains why they need to keep Paramount and to keep him there. And he convinces Charlie Bluhdorn to do it. Okay? Bluhdorn, the vote was 7-6. Bluhdorn broke the tie to keep it. Okay? It's really interesting watching that because when I saw that, he's talking about not just the early 70s and how bad they were, okay, because the early 70s sucked. They were as bad as this, if not worse, okay, if you think about it. Martin Luther King assassinated, Bobby Kennedy assassinated, Malcolm X. We were still in Vietnam. The oil embargo was starting to, all right? All this shit was going down. And he basically said, we need to give people 2 hours to just forget their problems, to tell them stories. Okay, he's right. Here's the problem with Disney and Lucasfilm. Lucasfilm forgot that. Yeah, I know, Mike. Lucasfilm forgot that. Think about it. They don't want to tell stories, they want to be activists. You can't be both. Not when you're talking about making movies and telling stories and all that stuff, I mean, it's not that difficult when you think about it. When to understand what he's saying here. And it works perfectly with getting rid of the sequel trilogy. He could have said the same thing to Rian Johnson and to Kathleen Kennedy and to Bob Iger. All right? All right? He could have said the same thing and he would have been right. Because let me tell you something. I don't think in the end the viewing public for American movies has changed that much. Look at how well Top Gun 2 is going on. Okay? All right? And it's really interesting to note that when you're watching what they're saying about it, they don't know what to do. Here's what people wanted: a story that respects the audience, that respects its characters. All right? That's it. Well, it is and it isn't. I've heard that it's boring. So, I don't know. And I liked Jurassic Park. I thought it was a great movie. But I can't stomach seeing Laura Dern anymore. I hate her. George Takei is a guy who wants to be bitter about something that happened to him almost 80 years ago. He's a very old man now, okay? I mean, very old man. And he has never let go of what happened to the Japanese people in California and elsewhere when World War II started, okay? Laura Dern looks like an unmade bed, okay? She really does. She's a crumbling hag anymore. And, you know, she looks exactly like what she is. She is the woman that, oh God, what's his face? Oh, he dumped her and married Angelina Jolie. Billy Bob Thornton dumped. I hate her. I can't stand her. I could never be friends with her. I think there's something deeply sick about her. She's one of those bitter feminazi actresses who... No, Mike, he hasn't. And I would think he would, only because he's Japanese and the Japanese and Chinese hate each other, but the Koreans and Japanese hate each other. The Koreans hate the Chinese. They're all one great big happy family. Okay? And that's the truth. It's very interesting being over in Korea and seeing, you know, Chinese diplomats dealing with the Japanese and us standing in the middle going, oh fuck. They're funny as hell, to be honest. But they have a long history with the Japanese. And at the start of the 20th century, Japan owned a lot of Korea and were not very nice to them. Okay. But it's one of those things where that happened 70 years ago, 80 years ago. Time to let it go and move on. Okay. They have bigger fish to fry, and that's Beijing. Yeah, they did do a lot of things. And Jonathan, I agree with you, but look, isn't Patrick Stewart gay or something? You know, it's really interesting how many, but it's also very interesting. Ian McKellen went after the woke. Um, uh, you know, you've had other people. Okay, thanks, Jonathan. You've had other people going after the woke, and it's really interesting to me. I mean, Russell Brand going after them. Okay, it's very interesting. It's very interesting to me watching all this happen, because I think Hollywood, it lost its soul in 2012 around, and people are starting to notice and trying to fix the problem. And that's the really big issue going on here right now, is that. But anyway, I gotta go because been on almost an hour. And tomorrow, episode 5, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Hopefully it'll be great. I don't know if we're gonna see Mace Windu whenever, but I don't really think so in this. But we'll have to see. This is going to be big because it's going to be sort of like an echo of the Battle of Yavin, I think. But anyway, I got to rock, okay, because my voice is going. And I think I may go up and see my horse. So see you guys later. See you around the galaxy. Behave, be safe. And you know, watch Kenobi. It's fantastic. Okay. It's of all of them, I actually think it's better than Mandalorian. It actually respects Kenobi, the character, despite what Doomcock and everybody else is saying. They're wrong. Anyway, I gotta go. See you guys around the galaxy. Behave, be safe. Oh yeah, it's great, isn't it? You know, it's funny. You can like Star Wars and still hate the sequel trilogy and the High Republic. You know, I only have one reservation. I don't want this to be the impetus for Ben Solo. Okay, that makes me want to vomit. Okay, we got to get rid of the sequel trilogy. Bandwagon. That's what I want the big channels to do. Anyway, I gotta go. I'll see you guys later. See you around the galaxy.